Hi everyone, I'm Dom Griffin, I'm a film critic and you're watching the Armchair Auteur. This is an ongoing video series I do where we talk about new movies, old movies, screenplay analysis, television series reviews, that sort of thing. So if you like movies and you like movie adjacent popular culture and you like to see somebody pick those things apart, you should consider subscribing. Today I'm reviewing G.I. Joe Origins Snake Eyes, which is Paramount's latest attempt to monetize the Hasbro franchise that used to be toys and then was comics and cartoons and all sorts of things. Before we get into the movie proper, I do want to talk about G.I. Joe very briefly and just like how little I genuinely care about it. Look, I collected G.I. Joes as a kid for sure and have a casual affinity for some of the Larry Hama comics, despite not being particularly conversant in the mythology, but I never had the same connection for the Joes as I did like Thundercats or He-Man or the actual only Hasbro thing that matters to me, Gem and the Holograms. My last notable connection to G.I. Joe was friend of the channel Aubrey Sitterson's underrated and short-lived work with the franchise at IDW a few years back. So right off the bat, a lot of people who consider themselves true fans and collectors of the IP are not gonna rock with this movie. So if that's you, you're not gonna like Snake Eyes. If you came here to find out whether you would, you can leave now. You're not gonna, it's not gonna do anything for you. I'm not sure you'll like anything that doesn't give you that nostalgic hit of dopamine you need so desperately to live through these tiresome days. Like, you might get it elsewhere, but you're for sure not gonna get it here. So if that's you, if you care about G.I. Joe canon, just don't watch the movie. It's just save yourself. But for the rest of you, you may end up liking it. I will say also that I did like the last two G.I. Joe movies. Rise of Cobra is such a cartoonish mess, and most of the cast is having so much fun that it's kind of hard to complain about much with it.
There, Joe.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt's weird turn as Cobra Commander makes so little sense, but is such good scenery-chewing nonsense.
Meet the genius behind all my nanotechnology.
Genius. You are too kind.
But for real, Lee Bung-hung steals the whole movie as Storm Shadow, who is way cooler than Snake Eyes.
Oh, that's right. You don't kill women.
For you, Zartan, I'd make an exception.
I remember liking Retaliation, but mostly just thinking it was really funny that they killed off Channing Tatum's character. Then Magic Mike blew up, and they had no choice but to just find a way to film extra shit so he's in the movie more before he has to die.
Are you spinning?
You gotta cover 360.
You're spinning.
Good shit. But this new one sort of stands alone as a soft reboot of the franchise on screen, being more of a Snake Eyes origin story, albeit heavily altered from what most would consider to be his canonical origin, that happens to feature a light Avengers Initiative approach to introducing the Joe-Cobra conflict. The film stars Henry Golding as Snake Eyes, an orphan who watches his dad murdered as a child. He ends up working as a cage fighter, then being taken in by the Yakuza, before saving the life of a man named Tommy, played by Warrior's Andrew Koji, who wants Snake Eyes to join the Arashikage clan and become a ninja. Tommy is Storm Shadow, by the way, if you couldn't tell from the fact that he often wears white and has swords. The first thing I will say about G.I. Joe Origins Snake Eyes is that it is a very intense movie. From Jump Street, it just has a lot of raw intensity, a lot of
ruthless aggression.
Which I dig. It's cool that you want to distance yourself from sort of the more cartoonish Saturday morning vibe of Rise of Cobra and some of the stranger stuff that was happening in Retaliation to create like your own new path forward for the franchise. You want it to be kind of gritty, but not too gritty, kind of marvelly, but not too marvelly, but also owing to a lot of modern action movies that are primarily happening on the DTV scene. Like, it has a lot of things going for it. It's got some like the kind of John Wick neon lighting vibe. Like, it's got some moxie. But the movie is kind of a lot of things at once. It's sort of a revenge story. It's sort of a spy story. It's sort of a ninja movie. The parts of it that work the best are the parts that are just like a ninja movie. Like, you wouldn't even have to make it about Snake Eyes. It could just be another guy who becomes a ninja. That stuff would just be cool because ninjas are cool. But primarily the movie is concerned with introducing important G.I. Joe characters, like Samara Weaving shows up as Scarlett, which is cool. Other Cobra characters are alluded to, but primarily we only see Baroness in this one. And obviously it sets up the idea of what this world is like. There's this war going on between a global peacekeeping agency and then some like cartoonish terrorists, but it's all played relatively straight. You don't really come to a G.I. Joe branded movie for like great performances, but I think Henry Golding is like okay as Snake Eyes. It does feel weird to take a character from mythology who doesn't speak and you never see his face and then have like a heartthrob type guy play him. Odd choice, but I think that Golding does cool things with the character, and they make him sort of this like tortured, like dickhead who like wants to be a better person, but like is so consumed by rage and hurt and regret that he doesn't know how to. And like that's interesting. I would have gotten someone other than Henry Golding to play that if it was my decision to make, but he does well enough with it.
Before you knew it, we were dumping that water on those steaks. The waiters were coming to try and snatch him up. We had to eat as fast as we could. Oh, I miss those nights. I was a piece of shit, though.
Used to be.
I said was!
The thing that gets me most about this movie is that it works best when it's about the relationship between Snake Eyes and the man who will become Storm Shadow. And I think that Golding and Koji's chemistry is really interesting, and I like movies about male friendship and brotherhood and stuff, and this is definitely that. But without getting into heavy spoiler territory or detailing too much of the plot, because like who cares, I think that this is a movie that puts a lot of effort into the drama of their relationship and the betrayal and all the different shifting allegiances and things like that. And I don't know if it was smart to make a movie that's supposed to be the beginning of a franchise that ultimately has two characters on opposing sides as arch enemies and make the movie more sympathetic to the character who was going to become the villain. It would be like if Batman Begins had the Joker in it, and then at the end of the movie, we were like rooting for the Joker. Like we wanted to see the Joker come back in the next movie and like beat the shit out of Batman because he was a dick.
Do you bleed?
I do.
I'm not saying you can't do that in a movie, it's just a weird choice. Other than that, the movie does have a lot going for it. I found it to be pretty entertaining, mostly because I like movies that have a lot of action in them, and this movie does have a lot of action. My beef with that action is that it is sort of a mixed bag, and here's why. I like that there is a lot of really exciting choreography in the movie. Like it feels like they put a lot of work and effort into making the fights and the characters' movements, and just all of that stuff, all the planning that it takes to create fights that look, you know, balletic in some fashion and also brutal and exciting. All of that work is there, and you can see it. You can tell, like, wow, they really put a lot of effort into making each character fight their own way and express themselves through physical movement in a correct way, and it's very neat. But I'm not a fan of the camera work and some of the editing. I feel like at times it's really cool and frenetic and interesting, and I was really digging it, and I liked how much they used handheld and how much it felt like just really raw and over the top. But then at other times it just feels really messy and kind of incoherent, and like it just wasn't working for me. And I'm aware that some people are going to watch this and like not notice that at all and not care and just think it's fun. And then some people are probably going to overplay their hand and say the action's really bad. I don't think it's bad. I just think that the work being done by the fight choreographers and the stunt coordinators is really good, and then the work being done by the people actually getting the shots and then editing them together is less good. It's not even bad. It's just not as good as it feels like it could be. Because for a movie like this to work, if the action was really killer, like if they'd really done some really strong work, like universally, I wouldn't even be talking to you about any other gripes I had about the movie. Because I wouldn't care. It's a G.I. Joe movie, and if they have cool action scenes and fights and a few things explode, you're gonna go home happy. But the fact that those elements of the movie were left lacking left me more time in the theater to think about all the other stuff. Like it's like a 2-hour movie, and it takes like an hour for like the real story to really get going. It kind of feels like a, not glacially paced, but definitely slower paced, more methodical spy story about, you know, betrayal and double lives and twisting allegiances and stuff. And like I'm into that. I just didn't really want it in this movie. Like if it had been its own thing about ninjas and brotherhood being poisoned by a need for revenge, I could get into that. But that thing happens, and also there's random scenes explaining who Cobra is and what the G.I. Joes are and introducing you to Hard Master and a couple of random characters. It just doesn't fully work for me. Now, I need to be clear that the movie is like fine. I didn't dislike it. I'll give it a soft recommendation, spoiler alert, that I did think the movie was like fine and worth seeing. If this movie was released on Paramount Plus instead of in theaters, I would say 100% watch it. Like if you're home, just like throw it on, it'd be so much fun. But this is not really a movie I can say I would go out of my way to see in an actual theater. Because there's just other stuff I could watch at home that's like better and more entertaining. This is just like fine. And I also can't say that it really made me like die for a sequel, because if this is the setup that they have and this is what the world of the G.I. Joes is going to be like, it makes me wonder what the other characters are going to be like when they're introduced, and like if it's going to be muddled in the same way, or if they are going to be able to create something that feels more like what people do like from G.I. Joe. I would say for me, those issues aren't as important, just because I don't have the same kind of like emotional tether to, I I don't know, whatever like the hard baseline understanding of what G.I. Joe is supposed to be. I don't have that. I don't really care that much. I'm pretty flexible about what G.I. Joe could be for me. All I really wanted was a lot of cool kicking and guns and car chase stuff. And I got most of that. And sometimes it's really good, but in other times it's just fine. I think that it's fine. I don't know. I keep coming back to the word fine, but I don't know what else to say. Like, it's all right. It's decent. It's nice. It didn't anger me. It didn't like suck. It didn't, you know, feel like a waste of time. I'm not mad that I watched it. I went to 3 screenings in the same day, and this is the first one I watched, and the other 2 movies I watched that day were definitely better for various different reasons that you'll see in other videos this week. But I just felt like it was cool. Like, I was like, all right, cool. This is a movie about Snake Eyes. It's a nice little origin story. Maybe it'll make enough money. We'll get another bigger budgeted G.I. Joe movie with more characters. That could be neat. Good for Henry Golding getting to play someone other than like the cute boyfriend in a rom-com. Kudos to him. Props to Andrew Koji getting work. I haven't watched Warrior. All of my friends love the show, and I feel like an idiot for not having watched it, but I liked him in this. I thought he made a good Storm Shadow, and I think that they made a mistake making Storm Shadow like the breakout character of the movie Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins. It's a movie that ends making me want to see a character who's a pretty central G.I. Joe villain like get comeuppance from a guy who's supposed to be the heroic figure of the franchise. It's a weird choice, like I said, but that's what they chose to do. I don't fully know why. But I will say it's a bit of a bummer that the action's not better. Like, I feel like in a movie like this, that's like the main thing you're looking for. And if that's not up to snuff or up to par, it can kind of color the rest of the experience. Now, I will say that does feel like a personal taste thing and not like a universal thing. So if you've seen the trailers and like you like the way the action looks in the trailers, there's a good chance it'll be good to you. I thought the action looked nice in the trailers, and then in the actual scenes, I was like, oh, these don't look as good as I thought they would. These look choppier than I like. So, you know, your mileage may vary. I'll be honest about that. But I honestly feel like this might be a movie you should maybe wait until it's available on Paramount Plus or something. I don't know when that'll be, but I don't know that you should go to a theater to see G.I. Joe Origins Snake Eyes. You could rewatch one of the other 2 G.I. Joe movies. You can watch any number of a plethora of pretty good G.I. Joe cartoons. You can read some pretty good G.I. Joe comic books. Or you can go see another movie that is out this weekend that is probably better. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on G.I. Joe Origins Snake Eyes. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you did not, I'm sorry. If you have any thoughts about G.I. Joe, action movies, just anything, talk to me in the comments below. That's what they're there for. I love talking to you guys. And if you have not subscribed, this would be a fantastic time to hit the subscribe button. Hit the little bell icon so you get notifications when I put out new videos, as I will be doing in the next couple of days. There'll be other videos from other things I saw this week, so stay tuned for that. Thank you again for watching. Hope everyone's doing well, staying safe, being good to yourselves and each other. I will see you in the next video.